Welcome, ocular enthusiasts across the globe, to Day 14 of the 38th Annual World Staring Championship, live from the unblinking capital of the planet, Glare Gardens Arena, boomed lead commentator Barry Eagle Eye Middleton, his voice ricocheting off the steel rafters. I'm joined, as always, by Dr. Daphne Blinkman, ophthalmologist turned play-by-play analyst, and the only person here with an emergency supply of saline and puns. "Good afternoon, Barry," Daphne answered, adjusting the headset that kept sliding down her nose. "My eyelids are locked, my goggles are fog-free, and my insurance premiums are paid. Let's watch people not blinking." The tournament had begun with 512 stare athletes from 79 nations. Only two remained. On one side of the velvet-roped platform sat reigning champion and national treasure of Liechtenstein, Greta the Glacier Vogel. Her irises, an icy blue, seemed carved from the Alps themselves. Opposite her, perched on a steel stool padded with worry beads and tiger balm, waited challenger Bobby Blink, and you'll miss him. McDougal, an unassuming mailman from Cedar Rapids, whose unfathomable ability to keep his peepers propped open had rocketed him from local legend to global meme. The bell sounded, a polite, melodious chime chosen to reduce involuntary eye closures. Silence fell upon the 18,000-seat arena. A spectator coughed. 20 ushers pointed quiet paddles at him in synchrony. Cameras zoomed. Sponsors' banners, Visine, Red Bull, and a perplexing new cryptocurrency called Dilate Coin lit the jumbotron. And the two finalists began to stare. Minute 1, immediate intensity from Vogel, Barry whispered. Her pupils just constricted to the size of poppy seeds. That's a veteran move, reduces dehydration. McDougal's gone with the prairie dawn gaze, Daphne noted. Soft focus on the horizon. Classic Midwestern technique. He's conserving corneal moisture. The audience murmured appreciation, as though witnessing a flawless triple axel. Minute 4, a fly wandered between the competitors. Greta didn't acknowledge it. Bobby's right eye twitched. Only a tremor, but the commentators gasped. Tiny fasciculation at the lateral canthus, Barry yelped. Could just be a muscle misfire, but in this sport, rumors start faster than a sneeze in a pepper factory. Daphne began replay analysis on a touchscreen the size of a ping-pong table, drawing circles around the microscopic jiggle. That's within legal twitch parameters, she concluded, referencing subsection 12B of the International Staring Federation rulebook, known colloquially as the George Clooney Clause. It had been written after Clooney's single cameo appearance in 2004, when his eyelashes caused 3 judges to faint. Minute 11, somewhere in the upper deck, a baby squealed. 37 spectators attempted a simultaneous shh, resulting in a wind gust that flipped 2 programs and, legend would later claim, contributed to a 0.3% humidity shift. McDougal's gaze flicked toward the rafters, then snapped back to Greta. The commentators dove for their metaphorical red buttons. Whoa! Redirected ocular alignment! Barry nearly swallowed his microphone. Is that disqualification? Not unless focus breaks beyond 15 degrees off axis, Daphne countered, measuring angles like a geometry teacher on double espresso. He's safe, but living dangerously. Minute 17. The tension was thick enough to butter. A lone popcorn kernel fell from the mezzanine, bounced down 3 steps, and landed near the stage. Nobody bent to retrieve it. Doing so would block sight lines, and that was practically treason. Greta's supporters, collectively known as the Statuesque, held up cue cards with inspirational slogans. Freeze them! Stone cold! Eyelids or quit lids. Bobby's fan club, Male Rocks, waved envelopes and hummed U.S. Postal Service jingle in Morse code. A display both patriotic and deeply confusing. Tickets minute 23. The first scandal. From out of nowhere, a phalanx of assistant referees sprinted onto the platform, wielding magnifying lenses like policemen with flashlights. The jumbo screen rewound footage. Frame by frame, it zoomed on Greta's upper lash line. One hair appeared to quiver. Barry inhaled so sharply his chair squeaked. Possible blink gate. Was that an eyelid descent? Daphne's fingers flew across her console. Hold your horses, Barry. That may have been nothing more than lash recoil from subtle air displacement. We need corneal confirmation. The crowd chanted, "Replay, replay," half sought exoneration, half demanded the champion's head on a tensor bandage. The replay concluded, Greta's lid had dipped 0.9 millimeters, not enough to call a blink, unless the partial closure was paired with tear production, ocular roll, or visible remorse. The refs ruled it innocent. The audience split between relieved disappointment and furious tweets. Greta flicked no acknowledgement, though her nostril flared. A microgesture psychologist would analyze in graduate theses for years. Minute 32. Barry switched to hushed reverence. Both athletes now entering what sports scientists call the moisture drought phase. Every second, each cornea loses 0.02 microliters of tears. That's roughly the volume of a fruit fly's sneeze. Daphne nodded gravely. I've seen grown men hallucinate penguins at this stage. To combat dryness, athletes employed clandestine techniques. Greta micro-positioned her gaze 2 degrees upward, capturing stray light glare that induced reflexive secretion. Bobby widened his nostrils just enough to increase cranial blood flow, a trick taught by his ex-girlfriend who practiced goat yoga. Minute 40, color commentary gets dramatic. Well, viewers, if your eyes aren't glued to the screen, consult a physician, Barry intoned, because mine are basically furniture. He rubbed his eyelids, violating booth etiquette. Daphne flicked him a look so piercing, doctors later billed him for a corneal scrape. Below them, longtime referee and amateur poet Hans Martin Spritzer paced, palms clasped behind his back. He wore the regulation black and white stripes, but accessorized with a monocle for verifying blinks. Rumor said the monocle had once been a Prussian opera singer's contact lens. Minute 46. The water bottle fiasco. Bobby's coach, Aunt Patty, legal guardian, life coach, and owner of Patty's Stamp and Sandwich Shop, yelled "Rich your soul!" and lobbed a chilled bottle toward him. Reflexively, Bobby's eyes tracked the projectile. The arena erupted. "Foreign object incursion," Barry hooted. Eyes left the opponent. "That's a Rule 23 violation unless he reestablishes lock within 3 seconds. Daphne began a verbal countdown. 1, 2. Bobby's pupils snapped back to Greta's, like magnets that remembered their purpose. The refs conferred. Fans chewed their scarves. After a tense pause, Hans Martin raised 2 fingers. Warning, not penalty. Aunt Patty mouthed, "My bad," and was escorted to the naughty section where glitter-covered foam fingers went to die. Minute 51, the scoreboard displayed live blink statistics: Vogel 0, McDougal 0, Rogers, the assistant cameraman, 7, he had allergies. The scent of cinnamon pretzels wafted, tempting athletes, though nobody dared inhale too deeply for fear of eye movement. Minute 60, the commentary soap opera Barry, Daphne, "I can't feel my face." Daphne, "That's either empathy or high blood pressure." Barry, "If these two stare any longer, we might achieve time dilation. Einstein predicted this." Daphne, "Actually, Einstein predicted you would misquote him on live television." Focus, Barry. Look, Greta's tear meniscus is receding. Barry zoomed in with words. Her ocular lake is now a puddle. That's dangerous territory. Once the lake bed cracks, reflexive blink is inevitable. Minute 71. Enter the eyedrop cartel. A rogue vendor in sunglasses began hawking illegal lubricating drops at $500 0 per microvial. Security tackled him, but 3 vials rolled onto the platform, stopping inches from Greta's shoes. McDougal's periphery detected glistening plastic. Barry shrieked, "Contraband on the field! The tension is stickier than 2 octopi in a taffy factory." Daphne, "If either competitor touches those drops, we'll have our first doping scandal since the infamous sodium chloride sting of 2012. Neither athlete flinched. A stagehand approached on all fours like a sniper, whisked the drops into a biohazard bag, and retreated into the smoke machines. Minute 83, micro-expression mayhem. Greta lifted one eyebrow by a single degree. Fans gasped. Raising an eyebrow could serve as intimidation, but also threatened brow muscle fatigue, which in turn tugged eyelid elevators. Analysts scribbled frantically. Barry, let the record show. The glacier cracks? Daphne, or does she? That brow move might be psychological warfare. She's saying, I can flex muscles close to my lids and still not blink, puny mortals. Bobby responded with a move nobody predicted, a gentle smile. The crowd oohed. Smiling stretched lower eyelids downward, reducing blink pressure. But done incorrectly, it could slacken upper lids into a droop. High risk, high reward. Sportsbooks in Vegas flipped odds. Dilate coin spiked 300%. Minute 92. Lightning round declaration. Hans Martin consulted a gold pocket watch. Tournament rules dictated that if no blink occurred after 90 minutes, organizers would trigger sudden vision death. Less ominous than it sounded. The house lights brightened from cinemascope gloom to desert noon, dazzling everything. Barry. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the lightning round. Pupils will constrict, tears will evaporate, and souls will question their life choices. Daphne. My retinas hurt just thinking about it. The lights blazed. Spectators who'd worn sunglasses for fashion found themselves strategic geniuses. Those who hadn't squinted, drawing security warnings. On stage, Greta's eyes shimmered but stayed open. Bobby's eyes darkened like well-oiled leather. Minute 97, a tumbleweed, not real, but a clever marketing gimmick from a cowboy hat sponsor, rolled across the platform. Its crunchy straw fingertips grazed Bobby's shin. His eyelids fluttered. Fluttered! Barry's scream pierced ultrasound range. There it is! Fluttergate! Is that a blink? Roll the footage! Replay screens blew up the microsecond event. Frame A, eyelids descending. Frame B, lids kissing at the corners. Frame C, lids rising, a handshake cut short. Judges debated whether contact lasted the requisite 0.1 seconds for full blink classification. Meanwhile, social media melted. Blinkgate trended #1 in 82 countries, excluding Bhutan, where internet was interrupted by yak migration. Minute 99. Judicial verdict. Hans Martin mounted the dais. He cleared his throat, a sound like Velcro being peeled off eternity. Z panel has ruled. Partial blink, penalty loss of hydration, timeout privilege, and, he paused dramatically, savoring worldwide palpitations. One demerit. Contest continues. Audible exhaling rippled through the stands. Barry collapsed into his chair. Daphne rebooted the broadcast by slapping him with a packet of moist towelettes. Minute 104. Greta's gambit with Bobby nursing a demerit. Greta unleashed a tactic unseen since the 1960s, the double pupillary zoom. She focused each eye at slightly different depths, creating an unsettling binocular asymmetry that wobbled like 3D without glasses. Barry nearly fainted. What is that? Witchcraft. Daphne steadied him. That splits tear demand across ocular surfaces. It's diabolical. Bobby, visibly rattled, switched from prairie dawn to cross-eyed glare to match. The crowd whooped. Somewhere a philosopher wrote into his notebook, "The abyss stares also into itself," then charged $9.00 for the pamphlet. Minute 113. External catastrophe. The arena's HVAC malfunctioned. A gust of arid air whooshed downward, hoisting confetti left by last week's indoor parade. Confetti pieces fluttered like neon snowflakes, landing on shoulders, laps, and tragically across both competitors' eyelashes. Barry whispered as though narrating a horror movie. Pouring particulate landing, this is worse than Sandstorm Protocol. Daphne. They must not blink to dislodge. We are witnessing ocular carnage. Greta's lashes trembled under the neon pink thread. Bobby's right eye now sported a tiny paper star reading, "You rock." The symbolism was meme heaven. Minute 116. Medical time. The tournament physician, Dr. Laverne Squint, yes, his real last name, approached with saline Alescu reverent. Yet calling medical time required athlete acknowledgement, an impossible ask in a staring contest. Dr. Squint hovered, stethoscope poised over nothing relevant, shrugged and retreated. Minute 119. The final second numbers on the big screen ticked toward 120, maximum regulation time. If no winner emerged, judges would compare cumulative twitch metrics. Both athletes wanted outright victory. Wonky math felt anticlimactic. Greta's confetti thread absorbed a rogue tear, increasing mass. It sagged downward, tickling her lower lid. A universal Uh-oh, rippled. Bobby, emboldened by his eyelash star, summoned inner USPS creed. Neither snow, nor rain, nor blinking confetti shall stay these couriers from their appointed glares. His eyes blazed postal fury. At 119 minutes, 53 seconds, the thread snapped free, drifting away like an epilogue. Ha! Greta survived. 119.55. Suddenly, Bobby's left eye produced a tear so majestic it deserved its own halftime show. The droplet shivered, magnifying stadium lights into a rainbow. Then, gravity. It rolled down his cheek, leaving ocular desert above. Tear deficit triggered automatic blink reflex. Bobby fought with Herculean will, eyes wobbling like jello on a bobsled. Barry's voice cracked. History in the making. 5 seconds to destiny, 119.57. Bobby's eyelids trembled, 119.58. Greta's gaze hardened, glaciers calving, 119.59. Bobby's eyelids collapsed, full contact. Definitive blink. Beep, 120.0. Hans Martin blew a whistle, pitched to stun Dolphins. Time! Winner. Greta Vogel by last second blink. The arena erupted. Statuesque fans tossed inflatable icebergs. Mail rocks slumped, some wrote tearful postcards. Aunt Patty wept, mascara streaking like abstract art. Bobby, blinking freely now, offered Greta a handshake. She accepted, and in rare display, blinked thrice in quick succession, an acknowledgement of humanity. Cameras captured the exchange. Someone set it to slow piano music. Sponsorship dollars doubled. Post-match press conference, Barry and Daphne confronted Bobby under harsh fluorescent lights. Bobby, Barry began, voice gentle, walk us through that final tier. Bobby sighed. It was the thought of tomorrow's route, 800 catalogs, 3 yappy poodles. My eyes just quit. Daphne leaned forward. Any regrets? No. Look, I'm a mailman. I face rain, dogs, porch pirates, but nothing compares to Greta's stare. If losing means I can blink again, I'll take the L. He blinked 6 times for emphasis, earning awed applause. Greta entered, trophy-shaped like a giant unblinking eyeball. Reporters flinched when she looked at them. To the people of Liechtenstein, she announced, I gift this victory and dedicate it to perennial neutrality and dairy products. She lifted the trophy. Flashbulbs burst. Scandal epilogue. Hours later, rumors surfaced that Greta's eyebrow raise had been illegal micro-stretch kinesiology tape hidden under makeup. The ISF launched investigation Tapegate. In parallel, Bobby's tear was accused of being artificially induced by thinking of onions he'd chopped that morning, Oniongate. Commentators salivated. Barry recorded a special, Behind the Blink, Secrets of the Stare. Daphne published a medical monograph titled The Hydrodynamics of Competitive Staring. Both scored lucrative sponsorships with ergonomic desk lamp companies. Legacy children worldwide held playground stare-offs, teachers confiscated contraband eye drops, and ophthalmologists reported record bookings for competitive dryness injuries. The sport trended, engendering derivatives, marathon gazing, freestyle squinting, and the controversial underwater stare, which ended quickly but sold epic merch. Bobby returned to Cedar Rapids a folk hero. Residents painted murals of him with wings made of envelopes. Aunt Patty introduced the Blinkin' Brisket special at her deli. Sales soared. Greta went on diplomatic tour. She stared down traffic lights until they malfunctioned into perpetual green. A service city council simultaneously appreciated and fined her for. 1 year later, the next World Staring Championship launched, bigger than ever. New rules included confetti netting, eyebrow tape inspections, and designated hydration drones. Barry and Daphne, now best-selling authors of No Rest for the Retinas, resumed their booth beside goods labeled Blink at Your Own Risk. And somewhere backstage, Hans Martin polished his monocle, practicing the phrase that kept the planet's nerves on edge. Possible eyelid descent, roll Z footage.